What is up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and I'd like to welcome you to the last page of my 2019 SEO strategy guide. And this is the page on implementation. So, very simple, not a whole lot here to go into detail on, but let's start at the top of the list. Number one, create a budget that you can maintain indefinitely. And I made this the first point because this is probably one of the biggest problems, at least, that most clients and peers, I think, have, is getting excited, wanting to dive in, and not really thinking about, what can I really afford to do indefinitely? Not just for a month or 3 months or 6 months even, or for a year, but what can I keep going for this brand or this asset? So you always got to have that figured out. That's your foundation. Figure that out, and then you can kind of, stretch into it. So you got to decide, how much content am I going to be buying? What kinds of engagement do I want? And how much money am I really interested in investing? And how much growth do I really want if you've got capital? So that's the first point. So step 2 here, ensure that your aesthetics are quality. So it doesn't do any good to get upset about the failure of any aspect of your strategy if your site doesn't look good, if your site is low quality. I go onto sites all the time, and if they aren't of a certain quality, I don't waste my time, because it's likely that the value of what's there is not on par if they haven't taken the time to actually fill things out. Obviously there are exceptions. There's older, EDU sites and government websites and stuff, but there's a point where you kind of got to be, understand what's going on in a certain space, and there's a point where you also need to realize that in certain niches, there's really no excuse, So I'm sure that that's self-explanatory. Okay, so next step here, every page needs to have a call to action. So all before getting to keywords, content, engagement, and all this business, you need to make sure you have a budget. You need to ensure that things look good. You need to make sure that you have call to action on every page. If your users are not being told to do something, then again, it's not really reasonable to expect your customers to just know what to do or to constantly seek out some sort of solution from you. Obviously there are going to be people like that, but I think that's another self-explanatory point. So then the core of the implementation method here is going to be based on your content and your engagement. So first point in that is to map your keywords. Long-tail keywords are easiest on average. And I do offer keyword research services to date. In the future, I'm probably going to move away from custom work and just create pre-built products, pre-built packages, courses and guides, and so on and so forth. So take advantage of that while it's around, because it's not going to be around forever, custom services from me. And this is a really important step. It is another foundational step, mapping these keywords out. So once you have the keyword research, you have to make a plan for what you're actually going to write and distribute. And I recommend tracking that information. That's why I provide my keyword research template for free, so that you can track your content as you go about making it. And if you're going to be someone who is going to go the distance with your keyword research and really explore the full real estate of your niche, then you're going to want to track that information and really map all that stuff out and make sure that you're covering as many different things as you can within your space. And second part of that is targeting long tail keywords. Now, there's two approaches. Either you can hit your long tail keywords first and really try to break into some early rankings, or you can make sure that you hit the most difficult pages first, so that as you build out the less competitive content, that it's easier for you to link back to your own authoritative content pieces. So that approach is much more patient. It's much more long term. You're not going to see results as quickly doing that. But in the long run, it's probably more powerful. It's kind of hard to say. If you have an automated link building tool, then like one of the ones that I suggest in the free WordPress plugin section and on this consultation doc, then you can kind of have it doing things automatically. And that part of the tool is not free, I believe, but there are some other internal linking tools that can do things based on keywords, and you can always go back to those earlier long tail posts and link to the bigger ones. But it's going to be a lot of trouble if you do it that way. So you probably want to think about your approach there. If you're looking to make progress quickly, long tail posts are the best way to go, easiest way to go. But you're going to want to get an automated internal linking solution. So something to think about. Okay, so moving on from content, develop content, or moving on from keywords, develop content for volume and for authority. So the idea here, it's kind of connected to the keyword research. For volume simply means develop content that's designed to be, abundant, talking about things very quickly. You have a content, part of your content strategy is, I'm going to do all these cheap little short articles on these various topics. And another part of your content strategy is, there are some really important areas that we have to have very high quality, highly authoritative content for. And so I recommend doing both. Always having one post that someone is working on, making it really high quality over a long period of time, and that will really set you apart from your competition. And this can take you weeks, it can take you months to finish this piece of content. But I recommend that, as an influencer in your business or whatever your space is, you yourself, not just your writing team or some company you're having writing for you, but you yourself need to be involved in writing content always. You should spend 15 minutes a day or something like that writing something. And so that could be writing posts for volume. That could be preparing something to build your authority content. But you should always, as an influencer, you should always be writing in some capacity, because you can't really fake someone who is an influencer in a space. And so even if you have people working for you, working with you or whatever, you should still be involved in the content, in your content strategy, because no one can really replace the expert, quote unquote, and as you practice this kind of thing, it gets a lot easier too. So from time to time, I get business owners that will say, oh, I'm just so busy. I'm so busy this, I'm so busy that. And most of the time, a lot of these business owners are similarly somewhat disorganized, so I don't really buy the I'm too busy for this and I'm too busy for that kind of argument. I've had times where I have felt like I've been very busy and I've been working, 20-hour days and really grinding and things like that. But there's something to the optimization of your time too, and uh, pretty much every person that I've ever met has always told me a story. I've always told me a story, and the people that I've had the opportunity of kind of seeing behind the scenes and seeing what goes on there, I mean, it's not really true. And it's ironic that you see this on Facebook too with friends and family and things like that. And people in these positions are all, they always make these kinds of arguments, but then you find out, you see their Facebook posts or whatever, and where do they find the time to watch that TV show? They've watched all of this TV show and all of this TV show and all that TV show, and they went to the movies here, and they went to. Everybody has time. It's really just time that they don't want to spend. It really comes down to there's certain things they don't want to do, and that's fine. But if that's going to be a business owner's attitude on something that's really important, then, I mean, don't be surprised if you're not going to be able to make the kind of progress that you want to make. And again, that's not to say that you can't leverage other people's time or have used other methods. I'm just making an argument for doing a good thing. That's all. If celebrities have time to go and tweet, then the average person has time to, write a 150 word post or a 300 word thing or whatever. It's really not that difficult. It doesn't take that much time. And one of the problems is that you might be overthinking it, So I don't want to beat anyone down. My point is to challenge you that you do have time and to encourage you to take some measure of time, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, to write a post. If you write one post per day, it's 365 posts at the end of a year. If you write 5 small posts in a day, then that's whatever 365 times 5 is, right? So it's anyone can do this. Okay. Next point here, focus on one or two engagement tactics from traffic sources. And I offer, and by the way, in terms of content, I do offer a content writing service. And in the future, I will offer a content writing guide, pre-built package, so something to look forward to. So in terms of engagement tactics, you want to have something that is, I would say, there's all kinds of methods. There are some slower ones. There are some things like directories that are designed to have social proof built in. My recommendation would probably be to get involved in some sort of I would get involved for sure in building 2 of your directories. And then from there, you can maybe post to Facebook groups or post in niche specialty sites. And really, you can drive traffic with ads too, and just practice your building pages that convert. So you could do one thing that's really focused on traffic and another thing that's focused on your reputation, sort of thing. Those would be my most basic recommendations, and you can spend a small amount of money on ads every month and still have a profound, impact in terms of traffic. Probably though, let me take that back. I would say that the best thing for all businesses overall to do would be, because I did include, Longtail blogging in that engagement section, and that is definitely, so as far as SEO goes, increasing your real estate is the best way to gain traction. So I would say that would be my first recommendation. My second recommendation would be to get involved in Google Maps and Facebook reviews and things like that, and start building out those accounts, building content in there. And as you do business, ensure that you are collecting that social proof. Those would be my top two recommendations. As an SEO consultant, for an SEO consultation package, it all comes back down to real estate, blogging as much as possible, creating high quality content, and syndicating that content into your uh, other types of assets, your social media assets, Google Maps, posts, perhaps, and so on and so forth. Just take a look at that engagement section, pick a couple, and run with it. So, to recap, let me take a look at this list here. The last point here, I have a couple more points. Build your brand through social proof and/or a mailing list. So I added this because this is another thing that is often neglected, and that is the attention to your reputation. Your reputation is a major vehicle for selling. And so that's another reason I recommend, building your directory, a couple of directories out. I mentioned mailing list here. I don't really talk about building a mailing list in this consultation, but I do recommend getting some sort of plugin, perhaps. And I have some different things that I use, but neither of those is free, I believe. Something that integrates with an SMTP mailing provider like Mailgun, for example, and get yourself some sort of mailing list program that can integrate with an SMTP relay, and a call to action mechanism that you can have, or a mechanism for giving away a free product, can be to sign up to your mailing list. As they say in the industry, the money is in the list. So, and remarketing to an existing audience is a lot easier and has a greater potential for repeat business than acquiring a new customer. They say it's 7 times easier. I don't know about all that, but so those are a couple of points that I would add on top of that. Once you get traffic, retaining it and making use of it is a whole other facet to the sort of process. So, and then the last point is, if you need some help with any of these points, any of these implementation aspects, then just check out my prices page and see what I offer. And you're welcome to contact me also. And I might be willing to do something for you that's not on my price page. It just depends. I'm trying to become more scalable, so I am moving away from custom services, but it just depends on what you need. So feel free to contact me, and that right there is a call to action. But in terms of a call to action for this consult, for you taking action on what I've given you, here's the recap. You need to make sure that you can budget for your SEO strategy indefinitely. So if that means 30, 50, or $100 a month, then that's what you need to do, and you need to figure out how to make that work. You need to ensure that your aesthetics are quality. You have a nice website that people actually like, Every page needs to have a call to action. You need to be asking your customers to do something. There's no point in having a website if they're not doing something, And then from there, you need to map out your keywords and develop content for long-tail keywords, so more creative posts, and also high authority static pages. And then from there, you need to focus on 1 or 2 engagement tactics, and that could be a large amount of blogging and or syndication or whatever. That could be paid ads. That could be getting involved in directories and really focusing on getting better social proof. But that's pretty much the gist of the whole thing, it really, if I could boil it down to the lowest possible common denominator, nators, you have to have value. You have to be able to present that value in a way that is pleasing to your target audience, and you have to be able to promote that value to your target audience. And the thing about SEO is Google is looking for answers to all kinds of queries. So that is the reason I talk about that so much. Talk about blogging and long-tail keywords and all this business, because that's exactly what Google wants. They want more answers from influencers in that space. And so that's why I believe that is essentially the most effective thing you can do for SEO is to ensure that you have a website that has conversion potential, and you are covering a lot of territory. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I know there's a lot of information, and it's simple, but someone has to spend time to do it, and the ironic thing is that even those who are absolutely convinced of other approaches, there are clients out there who, potential clients who feel so strongly that it's all about backlinks and they got to have all these backlinks or nothing's going to happen, yada, 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 yada. Vast majority of the time, they don't even have the basics in place. And what are you going to do? What can you do if you don't have a good looking site and you don't have real estate? Don't expect to rank. It's as simple as that. So I encourage you, though, to take action, build content, be organized, make sure your site looks good. Always ask your customers to do something, and focus on some of those engagement tactics, really get good at one or two of those things out there. And I promise you will see results, but you have to take action. And they say that 90-something% of people that purchase courses and consultations, products, and all this business, that they don't take action. And I've had some videos that I've looked at in the past. I get a surprising amount of view time on my videos according to my YouTube analytics. But there are some videos that I feel are pretty important to certain processes that I looked at recently when I was deciding to re-record these. And some of these videos only have like a few views. And so there are certain videos that a lot of my clients watch, and there are some videos that they ignore. And so, don't do that. I get that everyone's busy, but don't cut corners. You start cutting corners, and you're gonna be left out of the loop and not knowing what's going on and all that unpleasant stuff. So thank you guys for your time. I look forward to working with you more in the future and sharing more neat things with you, and I'll catch you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.